Welcome back, fellow soldiers. I finally made it to a computer and managed to have a look at the developers briefing number 80 that dropped last Friday. And as always, we're gonna have a closer look at it because there is some stuff waiting for us. And if you haven't seen it yet, of course, I always include the link down below in the description, the link that leads you directly to the Steam developers briefing. And if you are too bored, too lazy to read, just listen to my soothing voice and have a look at some nice gameplay. So let's start and dive right into it. The developers briefing number 80 together with the developers briefing number 79 stood in the light of the way to the next update number 7. The developers have said several times that they are now building up with the upcoming developers briefing. They are showing us different smaller things that we can expect to be uploaded and upgraded with the upcoming update number 7. And they've also announced that they'll release some more detail about what really is inside update number 7 package and what we can expect. And in today's developers briefing, or in Friday's developers briefing number 80, the developers took a closer look at Omaha Beach map. And if you are remembering correctly, if you have followed my channel for a little bit, or if you are reading the developers briefings, then you know, this sounds kind of familiar. And yes, the developers actually already reworked the Omaha Beach map. If you can remember it, they've made some changes with buildings. They made changes in the lighting, the weather, the whole atmosphere, and just added a lot of good things, smaller things, texture packs and stuff to the battlefield that just made it look much better and made gameplay easier and more interesting. And that's the important point. And with this developers briefing, they come out again and say they actually will release another Omaha Beach revamp together with update number 7 that will be dropping in the period of June, July, somewhere there. And also at the beginning of the dev briefing number 80, they are mentioning what will be the content of the following few developers briefing, namely the next developers briefing, the developers briefing that will launch this week on Thursday or Friday, will contain the community and Black Matter developers Q&A session that was recorded with Team Dix recently. So we'll have a lot of questions answered over there. So that'll definitely be something very interesting. And the week after that, we can expect that the developers briefing will start to share brand new content, including the new animation system that we've all been waiting for. But this developers briefing focuses only on Omaha Beach revamp, and I've picked out some of the most interesting changes that will be updated in the coming update number 7, or together with the coming update number 7. And one of those points is that the developers learned from the previous revamps of other maps and also the launch of the newest map, that is Hill 400, what they could change in this Omaha Beach map. For example, they've remodeled large parts of Vierville town in order to create much more and much better gameplay for us, the player base. They will update and upwork better visuals and better optimization too. And that's a very interesting point, since the developers saw and had the feeling that the community is asking for more close quarter combat and more combat just inside of towns. And that's what they wanted to bring also to Omaha Beach without going too far away from how the actual map looked like. The developers are always trying to stay historically accurate, but if you are looking at the screen, you can also see some of the included images that they uploaded together with the developers briefing number 80, where you can see how smaller changes influence the setting and the gameplay of Omaha Beach map. And what you can certainly see is that the lightning changed for sure. The developers also worked on the large amount of gardens that we as soldiers are experiencing on the Omaha Beach map. And they realized that those gardens that we see very often on the map are just too repetitive and make it not very intuitive for the gameplay and for the players. It's just a continuous hopping over some wooden planks into the next garden. There you won't have any cover, then you hop into the next garden, and so on and so on. And the devs realized that, they saw that from the community feedback, and they now also reworked that aspect of the map. They put a lot more houses and buildings into the maps, just so that garden effect doesn't happen anymore, just to make gameplay a lot more interesting. They'll also add some more detail in the environment just to make it visually more interesting. And they also worked on covering lines. That means that they'll offer more options for players that are advancing into a position inside the village to advance on. So you'll be having more cover from snipers, or it will be more complicated for snipers to have a clear sight, what makes kind of sense if you ask me, when you are playing inside a village and have some close quarter combat. And I think with that, I will read to you what Max, the developer, has written inside the developers briefing, because it sums up really nice what they've changed, especially inside the village or when it comes to CQB. The end result is not only a higher concentration of detail in the environment, it's also a much larger mixture of cover, interesting ways to traverse the environment, as well far more considered lines of sight. We've also taken into account specific locations to drop spawn points and other deployables. We've also lit these environments to give them an especially atmospheric feeling, very useful for low light or nighttime conditions. And this also means attacking and defending is far more reliable. Instead of enemies moving in from all directions, these environments can be locked down far more successfully, while fighting through them is far more interesting. Crouching through a blown out hole between two buildings in order to uproot a sniper in the attic, for example. As new assets, compounds, buildings and props come online throughout the course of our early access period, we'll be fleshing out strong points across all our maps to ensure that each present a new challenge. We have a huge amount of work to do across the current Western Front maps, and we're excited to bring each to the same level of quality while offering a unique experience per map. And concerning the changes inside the Omaha Beach map, I think I leave it at that. What they've also presented in this developers briefing is that they are also working on hands. Yes, hands. They've reworked how they look like. They've reworked how the animation works. So hands and arms will also play a bigger role in the animation overhaul. And they'll also worked on the visuals with the hands and the arms to match your choice of uniform, and they also have some interesting things in store when it comes to dynamic mud, blood and dirt they write. And to finish things off, if you are a very creative fan of Hell Let Loose, the developers have started an HLL Ultimate contest where you can caption a picture that you can see now or also in the developers briefing, and with that you can also win some amazing prizes. And I have to say, those prizes are not from me. You'll have to do that or send in your application on the subreddit that was created for that, and the developers team are choosing a winner, and the winner can win a custom avatar illustration and also a Hell Let Loose Steam key I think that's a very cool thing. So if you are creative, if you'd like to caption this image, then why not give it a try and post it on the Hell Let Loose Reddit. Now, that's been it for this developers briefing, a little bit late, but better late than never. We'll be back at the end of this week with the next developers briefing and the Q&A that has been done with the Team Dix. And of course, to make some advertisement for my channel, if you haven't subscribed yet, please leave a sub and a like for the videos if you like the content I provide. And I also have a Patreon page where you can also support the channel outside of YouTube. And that's been it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna see each other on the battlefield.